KirTop here, and these are 100 proofs of alien intervention throughout history. Life in a meteorite. Researchers studying a meteorite found on the island of Sri Lanka have said that it is not just a rock fragment from outer space, but a potential artifact of extraterrestrial origin. The analysis revealed the presence of fossils of microscopic algae, which, according to scientists, may be evidence of the panspermia hypothesis, the idea that life is spread throughout the universe via asteroids and comets. These discoveries have attracted widespread interest as they could support the theory of the existence of life beyond Earth. However, the results have been criticized by the scientific community. Some experts argue that the fossils found are too similar to terrestrial microorganisms living in fresh water. The possibility of contamination of the meteorite by terrestrial life forms during its stay on the surface of the Earth also remains a serious argument against the hypothesis of extraterrestrial origin of the find. Babylon's vision of Earth and beyond. The Babylonian world map, or Imago Mundi, is one of the oldest known maps, dating back to around the 8th century BC. The clay tablet depicts the ancient Babylonians' view of the Earth. The center of the map depicts Babylon, located on the Euphrates River. The map is surrounded by important geographic features: Susa to the south, Urartu to the northeast, and Haban to the northwest. Beyond this area are triangular regions that researchers believe represent unknown lands or mountainous regions. The map is surrounded by a salt river called the Bitter River, which they believe ran across the entire planet. Mythical inscriptions mentioning the creation of land and sea by the god Marduk are also noteworthy, making the map not only a geographic but also a cosmological artifact. The UFO connection comes from the triangular regions beyond the map. Some researchers believe that the ancient inhabitants of Babylon tried to depict unknown lands, which they associated with divine or extraterrestrial beings. Bas-reliefs of Nuku-Hiva. On the island of Nuku-Hiva, part of the Marquesas Islands archipelago in French Polynesia, archaeologists are amazed by mysterious statues. The bas-reliefs and sculptures depict strange creatures reminiscent of gray aliens. Their bodies are human and their heads are like reptiles, with huge round eyes and low-set mouths. Who created these statues and why is unknown. The modern natives of the island know nothing about the origin of the sculptures and believe that they depict the ancient god Ono, who, according to their beliefs, created the world. When Europeans discovered the island in the 16th century, it was inhabited by savage gatherers famous for their cannibalism. However, the connection between the current inhabitants and those who created the mysterious statues has been lost. Archaeologists assume that these sculptures are at least 150,000 years old. Some believe that they depict priests in ritual masks, but these masks look too unusual to be simply part of Earth culture. Conspiracy theorists are convinced that Nuku-Hiva was once home to an alien colony. They believe that the statues depict human-alien hybrids and that the sculptures themselves are the result of ancient experiments. UFOs in 1665. In April 1665, 6 fishermen witnessed a mysterious celestial phenomenon, an aerial battle over the Baltic Sea near Stralsund. As soon as evening fell, a dark gray disk appeared in the sky. The exhibition, UFOs 1,665 inches, reconstructs how this event was presented in the media of the time and shows that many of the communication strategies used to cover unexplained celestial phenomena are still relevant today. The central event of this exhibition was the aerial battle on April 8, 1665. The fishermen saw flocks of birds turning into ships that fought in the sky. Ghostly figures scurried about on the decks. Soon, a flat disc appeared over the church of St. Nicholas and the fishermen fled in fear. The next day, they complained of trembling and body pain. The media of the time spread the news at lightning speed, offering different versions of the event. In an era when religion played a huge role, people believed that this phenomenon was a sign sent by God. At the time, no one knew that the fishermen may have witnessed an atmospheric reflection of a naval battle over the horizon. Place where you can find a UFO. American scientist, professor at Northeastern University Brian Helmuth, claims that the search for alien life on Earth should start with the ocean. In his opinion, the oceans and seas hide many mysteries, and people have only a superficial idea of their depths. Helmuth, not being a specialist in the field of UFOs but having knowledge of oceanology, believes that something related to extraterrestrial civilizations can be hidden underwater. I will add that oceanographer Paula Bontempi recently joined a special NASA commission for the study of unidentified objects. Earlier, NASA announced the appointment of a new head of UFO research, Mark McInerney, who previously represented the organization in the Pentagon. This emphasizes the seriousness of the approach to the study of this phenomenon. Message to aliens. The golden record attached to the Voyager spacecraft is a unique message from humanity to another civilization. Launched in 1977, the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft have become not only important instruments for exploring the solar system, but also symbols of humanity's desire to find contact with intelligent life beyond Earth. The record contains greetings in 55 languages, including ancient ones, music by great composers, sounds of nature, the sound of the wind, the splash of waves, the singing of birds, and even the beating of the human heart. It also contains 100 images representing the daily life of people, animals, architecture, and scientific achievements. To help aliens decipher the contents, the cover of the disc is engraved with instructions and a diagram of the location of the Earth relative to pulsars in our galaxy. This record is a kind of cosmic ambassador addressed not only to potential alien observers, but also to future generations of Earth. It reminds us that humanity is a single entity, capable of coming together to represent its culture, history, and planet. The message from Voyager is humanity's first conscious step in attempting to establish contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Sinister Secrets of Egypt. Dr. Sperle, deputy head of the German expedition in Egypt, told about his discovery, which is several decades old. Together with American colleagues, he found a mysterious black temple of the solar scarab in Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. The temple was built of black basalt blocks without windows, and the roof stood without supports. The entrance was covered with sand, which workers cleared in a few days. Inside was a second stone box almost touching the roof. Without doors and holes, it looked like a mysterious trap. Workers tried to disassemble it for 2 days, but even a crowbar left no traces on the solid basalt. Soon, the workers discovered a lid with an image of a scarab, decorated with gold and blue paint, resistant to time. The lid concealed a manhole leading to an underground room where there was a huge metal sculpture of a beetle with a crystal head. This bug looked more like a technological device than a religious artifact. The attempt to study the artifact ended unexpectedly. An English officer returned with a detachment of soldiers and an order from the governor to leave the excavations. The American expedition was kicked out and the temple was closed. A few years later, Sperle learned that a British airbase had appeared on the site of the temple. The strange metal sculpture, reminiscent of a machine, remained a mystery forever. Sperle never returned to this topic as his knowledge was soon needed by the Third Reich. The history of the Black Temple of the Solar Scarab remained one of the most mysterious pages in archaeology. Copper object. This mysterious artifact made from a single piece of copper alloy puzzles researchers and collectors. The object, rather crudely cast with visible defects, has a head in the shape of a rectangular prism which narrows on all sides to a sharp edge. The handle, smoothly rounded at the end, shows no traces of blows, which indicates that it was not used for striking in the usual sense. Interestingly, the edges of the head previously had parallel lines and scratches that have worn off over time. This may indicate repeated use of the artifact, possibly in the process of cutting, grinding, or scraping. The estimated dating of the artifact varies between 5,000 and 10,000 years, but the exact origin remains unclear. Some researchers hypothesize that this object could have been used for ritual purposes or as part of an unknown technological device. Alternative history proponents believe that such artifacts could have been part of ancient, highly advanced tools created using technology beyond the capabilities of ancient metallurgists. Chinese Star Atlas. In 1907, a unique find was discovered in the caves of the city of Dunhuang in China, a star atlas created in the mid-7th century. This ancient document is considered the oldest known astronomical chart. The atlas reflects the deep understanding of Chinese astronomers of the structure of the celestial vault, significantly surpassing the knowledge available to Europe at that time. The Dunhuang map is striking in its accuracy. It contains images of not only large but also smaller constellations, as well as dim stars that had long remained unnoticed on Western star charts. Unlike Western traditions where stars were connected to form mythological figures, Chinese astronomers used simple imaginary lines to group stars. This allowed them to maintain scientific rigor and avoid subjective interpretations. The atlas represents an important stage in the development of astronomy, showing how far the ancient Chinese had advanced in space exploration. It is possible that this map was used not only for astronomical observations, but also for forecasts and navigation, which made it a tool of strategic importance. Some researchers believe that such precise knowledge of the starry sky could be connected with observations of unusual objects in the sky. Legends of ancient China are full of references to heavenly chariots and luminous phenomena, which gives grounds to connect such star atlases with interest in extraterrestrial phenomena. Secrets of the Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, is an ancient manuscript that holds many mysteries. Created in the 13th century, it amazes with its size and content. Inside the book, you can find not only the texts of the Old and New Testaments, but also an image of the devil himself, which takes up an entire page. Most intriguing, however, are the astronomical maps, which appear unusually detailed for their time. This has given rise to many theories about the possible extraterrestrial origin of the knowledge used to create the Codex. Some researchers believe that the manuscript may contain encrypted messages or knowledge transmitted by alien civilizations. Legend has it that the Codex Gigas was written by a monk in one night with the help of the devil. What does this mysterious manuscript hide? And is it possible that its pages contain encrypted keys to ancient knowledge that came from outer space? The Codex Gigas remains one of the most mysterious artifacts of antiquity, which we will definitely study someday. Scientists melt 46,000-year-old ice. Scientists have made a stunning discovery by reviving an ancient nematode that was frozen in Siberia for 46,000 years. The microscopic worm, identified as Panagrolamus colimensis, was found 40 meters underground where it had been dormant since the earliest cave paintings were made. After being thawed, the nematode came back to life, began feeding on bacteria in the lab and reproducing asexually, then leaving a new generation for further study. The nematode's ability to survive in extreme conditions rivals better-known species such as Caenorhabditis elegans, which can survive desiccation and produce a sugar called trehalose that protects against dehydration. This discovery could open up new horizons in understanding biological processes of survival and evolution, suggesting that species can survive in extreme conditions for thousands of years and even revive after a long period of dormancy. If scientists can implant the abilities of these living creatures into humans, we will actually be able to travel in time, since humanity will be able to put people into a state of suspended animation and awaken them in the distant future after tens, hundreds, or thousands of years. Traces of cannibalism in Britain. Archaeologists have discovered the remains of 37 Bronze Age people with traces of cannibalism in England. The burial was found in a 15-meter deep shaft in Charterhouse, Warren. Analysis of more than 3,000 bones, which belonged to men, women, and children of different ages, showed that they all died violently. The bones show traces of blows from blunt objects, cuts from dismemberment, and even teeth marks on the hands and feet. Scientists suggest that cannibalism was ritualistic and could have been a way of humiliating the defeated. The remains of cattle were also found in the burial, which, according to the researchers, symbolizes the mixing of human and animal remains to completely dehumanize the victims. This discovery destroys the idea of the peaceful nature of the early Bronze Age and demonstrates that mass violence, dismemberment, and dehumanization of enemies were part of human history in Britain thousands of years ago. Secret UFO video hidden by the U.S. government. On November 23, 2019, near the southern border between Arizona and Mexico, Department of Homeland Security agents flew aircraft to locate and arrest smugglers transporting illegal substances into the United States. At some point, their infrared camera captured something that had a rather strange shape. A mysterious object visually reminiscent of a rubber duck amazed observers and then the American government. In September 2021, a secret video was given to an expert studying aliens. After receiving the video from the Department of Homeland Security, Andy Marshall was shocked to see an object that resembled a rubber duck. first appearing on the internet, the video amazed viewers with the fact that the unknown object is about 2 meters long and moves without any wings or traces of exhaust gases. An object resembling a duck flew in a certain direction for about an hour, and the video of the official federal agency does not allow one to think that this was a montage. The ufology community takes the video extremely seriously, believing that it proves the existence of UFOs. Experts who analyze the recording also differ in their opinions. It is known that unidentified flying objects have common behavioral characteristics, including speed, camouflage, and altitude. As for the so-called rubber duck, it moved too slowly, covering only 15 kilometers in half an hour. Such wind speeds are normal in this area, so it is possible that the secret UFO video is just an object that was picked up by air currents. A giant complex of ancient settlements. Using modern technology, archaeologists from University College Dublin, together with Serbian and Slovenian colleagues, have made a significant discovery. They discovered many previously unknown Bronze Age settlements in the southern Carpathian Basin near Serbia. Analysis of satellite images and aerial photography made it possible to reconstruct the ancient landscape and discover a network of megaforts, huge prehistoric structures. These megaforts, previously known from sites such as Gradiste Ios, Kanad Palota, Santana, and Cornesti i Arcuri, were previously considered isolated. However, new research has shown that they actually form a complex network. In its heyday, tens of thousands of people could live here. These sites, located along the Tisa River, were discovered in an area where almost all settlements are within 5 kilometers of each other. Scholars believe that local communities interacted peacefully with each other and were important centers in Europe during the Mycenaean, Hittite, and New Kingdom Egyptian eras. Eclipse battle. Imagine two kings who've been waging a bitter war for 5 years, losing their soldiers but seeing no end to the confrontation. And suddenly, when the sky, filled with the sounds of battle, darkens, a solar eclipse occurs. At this moment, the warriors on both sides freeze, lower their weapons, watching in amazement as a natural phenomenon eclipses human rage. The kings decide to declare a truce. This event became known as the Battle of the Eclipse, written about by the Greek historian Herodotus. In 585 BC, on the Halys River in Asia Minor, where the Lydians led by King Alyats and the Medes led by Cyaxares fought, an eclipse occurred that was predicted in advance. Historians believe that it was the Greek astronomer Thales of Miletus who predicted it. This eclipse, which was the first in history to be predicted by a human, has generated a lot of controversy. Predicting a solar eclipse is a difficult task. However, calculations have shown that the eclipse did indeed occur in 585, but not on Thales' supposed date of May 18, 584. Some believe that Thales could have used data from previous observations, but his accuracy is questionable, especially in light of the lack of astronomical instruments and records from that time. Historians also argue about the details of the battle. For example, Pliny only mentions the king of Lydia in his work, while the name of the Median ruler is questionable. In any case, despite these controversial points, the Battle of the Eclipse remains an important historical event. As a result of the eclipse, a truce was concluded, and the Halys River became the border between the two warring states. The Great Comet of 1861. The 19th century was a special time for those who loved to look at the stars. During this period, from 1811 to 1882, people observed as many as 8 great comets that amazed the imagination of scientists and ordinary people. These celestial phenomena inspired artists, composers, and even amateur astronomers. Among all these comets, Donati's Comet of 1858 occupies a special place. It was the first comet that was successfully photographed. But an even more amazing event was the appearance of the Great Comet of 1861. It turned out to be so close to the Earth that our planet literally passed through its tail. For 2 days, this tail obscured the sun's rays, creating an unusual twilight even during the day. The comet was discovered by a farmer from Australia, John Tebbutt. This young amateur astronomer noticed it in the constellation Eridanus on May 13, 1861. At first, he mistook it for a star, but later realized it was a comet. Convinced of his discovery, Tebbutt sent a letter to the local observatory and even published an article in the Sydney Morning Herald. The news of the comet's discovery quickly spread throughout the world. In June 1861, the comet was already observed in the northern hemisphere. Amazing descriptions of its brightness and size were published in newspapers in England. The comet's tail occupied a huge part of the sky and was visible even against the background of daylight. The real sensation was that the Earth crossed the comet's tail, which caused rare atmospheric phenomena. The sky was painted in yellow and reddish hues, and the sun's light became unusually weak. The magnificence of the comet impressed contemporaries, and for John Tebbutt, its discovery became the beginning of a brilliant career. Later, he built his own observatory and made many valuable observations. His contribution to astronomy is immortalized on the Australian $100 note, and the Great Comet of 1861 remains one of the most spectacular events in the history of space observations. Wolf's Egg Artifact. In 1885, a worker named Rydell discovered a mysterious artifact about 60 million years old known as the Wolf's Egg iron. He found it in a block of brown coal at a foundry in Austria. This metal object embedded in the coal caused great surprise among the worker and his colleagues. They donated the find to the local museum. In 1886, geology professor Adolf Hurlt suggested that the artifact came from outer space. However, further research showed that the artifact did not contain nickel, chromium, or cobalt, ruling out a meteorite origin. In 1973, analysis by Dr. Hubert Matlianer showed that the artifact was made using the lost wax casting method, suggesting that it was artificially created. The artifact is a nearly cubic shape measuring 67 by 47 mm and weighing 785 grams, made of solid steel. Its edges were sharp and straight, indicating its machine origin. Some experts believe that it was a fragment of a much larger tool. The find gave rise to theories about the existence of an ancient advanced civilization on Earth millions of years ago. And although many thought it had disappeared, the artifact is still kept in the Heimathaus Museum in Vöcklabruck, but is no longer on public display. Buddha wheels and devil's carousels. Marine bioluminescence, a phenomenon in which some marine life emits light, has been known for a long time. For example, some types of plankton are capable of creating light bright enough to be noticed by the human eye. This phenomenon is often associated with observations of a glow on the surface of the water or just below it. However, in addition to scientific explanations, there are also more mystical stories about mysterious circles on the water. These glowing rings are called Buddha wheels or devil's carousels. Interestingly, the former ones, according to one version, were so named by Eastern sailors and the latter by Europeans. The Chinese considered such phenomena to be favorable omens, while Europeans, in particular Christians, perceived them as a bad omen. Note how people in the West and East, observing the same natural phenomenon, interpret it completely oppositely. At the same time, despite the popularity of these stories, there is not a single official documented evidence of such phenomena. Perhaps the mysterious glowing circles are associated with marine plankton, which creates a bright glow in the darkness of the ocean. It is also worth noting that such stories about Buddha wheels and devil's carousels are often reflected in folklore, but so far remain only part of myths and legends, not confirmed by factual data. Message from aliens. Easter Island, lost in the South Pacific Ocean, became famous for its giant stone statues, moai, and mysterious tablets with rongorongo writing. These ancient tablets, covered with strange hieroglyphs, still remain one of the greatest archaeological mysteries. Scientists believe that rongorongo is the writing of the Rapa Nui civilization, which flourished on the island until the 18th century. The story of their discovery begins in 1864 when the French missionary Eugene Ayraud first noticed wooden tablets covered with unusual signs. The tablets were made of Toromira wood, which grows on the island, and were found in almost every home. However, most of these artifacts soon disappeared due to internecine wars and destruction. About 25 tablets have survived, and their study revealed a unique writing style reminiscent of inverted boustrophedon. This method of writing signs was previously found only among the Incas. The tablets depict figures of animals, plants, and anthropomorphic creatures. Scientists assume that these symbols could have been used to record rituals and myths. Of particular interest are the similarities between rongorongo and other ancient scripts. Some signs resemble the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt, India, as well as the symbols of the Harappan civilization that flourished in the Indus Valley. Parallels were even drawn with the writings of the Kuna Indians from Central America and the drawings on the island of Sumatra. This gives rise to theories about possible connections between ancient cultures across the ocean. Attempts to decipher rongorongo are still ongoing, but it has not yet been possible to fully understand these writings. One version is the description of rituals with sacrifices to the gods. Another hypothesis, more fantastic, suggests an extraterrestrial origin of these signs, hinting at contact with alien civilizations. Otherwise, how could people living on different continents have similar writing in those distant times? And in our time, having a huge amount of communication with each other through phones, satellites, and the internet, we speak different languages. The mystery of Rongorongo remains unsolved, but its study continues to inspire scientists and enthusiasts around the world. The mystery of the Urft civilization. In Iran, in the ancient city of Urft, archaeologists discovered unique artifacts. These finds, over 5,000 years old, feature pottery and stone artifacts depicting unusual creatures and symbols. Particular attention is drawn to figures with elongated heads and large eyes which resemble descriptions of alien creatures. The images on the artifacts of the Urft civilization are so unique and different from other known ancient cultures that some researchers have hypothesized about possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. These hypotheses are based on the fact that ancient artists could depict what they saw or heard about. The finds also include complex geometric patterns and symbols that have not yet been deciphered. This only adds to the mystery of this ancient culture. The Urft civilization, thanks to its mysterious artifacts, attracts the attention of not only archaeologists, but also lovers of mysticism and the inexplicable.
Knossos board game. The rules of this game have been lost to time, and to this day, no one knows how it was played. This artifact was discovered during excavations of the Palace of Knossos by British archaeologist Arthur Evans. Knossos, located on the island of Crete, is considered one of the oldest cities in Europe, and the game found dates back to around 1600 BC. Made of precious materials such as ivory, crystal, glass, gold, and silver, the game was not only an expensive pastime, but also perhaps a symbol of the high status of its owner. Archaeologists suggest that the game could have been used not only for entertainment, but also for rituals or divination. Some researchers even hypothesize that the complex patterns on the board may contain astronomical or mystical elements, which is of interest to supporters of the theory of the alien origin of ancient knowledge. Perhaps this mysterious board game once helped people communicate with higher powers or even with extraterrestrial civilizations.
Santa Claus's grave. Archaeologists have discovered a sarcophagus in Turkey that may be the tomb of St. Nicholas, the prototype of Santa Claus. The find was made in the Church of St. Nicholas in Dimre, Antalya, during excavations that have been ongoing since 1989. The burial was found in an extension next to the temple. The sarcophagus, about 2 meters long, is made of local limestone. It was partially buried in the ground to a depth of 2 meters. Its design, with a raised, sloping lid, resembles other tombs in the region. Scientists believe that the church was built on the burial site of St. Nicholas the Wonderworker, Archbishop of Myra, known for his good deeds. It was his generosity and secret gifts that became the basis for the legends about Santa Claus.
Indonesian Star Trek. In 1992, geologist Castillo made a discovery that still shocks today. In the province of Kapanga, Indonesia, he was exploring the Satan's Cave in the mountains and found an unusual stone. On its chip were engraved mysterious symbols that resembled a map of the Star Trek. The signs on the stone are strikingly similar to the images on the plaques sent into space by NASA with the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 probes in the 1970s. The stone depicts a man and a woman holding hands, as well as the sun, stars, and lines resembling routes. Geologists claim that the age of the stone's processing is hundreds of thousands of years. This casts doubt on its terrestrial origin because at that time people, as is assumed, could not have had such knowledge. Conspiracy theorists suggest that aliens received a message from the Pioneer probe but miscalculated and missed the time, ending up on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. Perhaps they got stuck here and left their mark in the form of this stone. Another version says that the stone could have been created by a highly developed civilization that existed in Indonesia long before our era. The map depicts a star system with 1 star and 7 planets, an almost exact reproduction of the solar system. Modern scientists recognize 8 planets, but until recently, Neptune was considered an asteroid. Whoever the creators of the mysterious stone were, their knowledge of the stars remains a mystery, astonishing modern science.
Rebitters and bioducks.
If it seems that the sound anomalies associated with marine UFOs were recorded only by American sailors, then this is not so. Soviet submariners also encountered similar mysterious phenomena. In the 1970s, the crews of Soviet nuclear submarines detected strange sounds reminiscent of the croaking of frogs, which quickly spread in the waters of the North Atlantic, especially in areas controlled by NATO. These sounds were so unusual that they became the subject of numerous discussions and hypotheses. The sounds recorded by the acoustics of Soviet submarines almost always accompanied them and moved at an amazing speed, up to 150 knots. However, active sonar did not record any objects that could be the source of these noises. It was assumed that these sounds came from something too small to detect or were even living creatures. For several years, scientists tried to figure out the nature of these strange rebitters, putting forward various theories, from unexplored phenomena occurring in submarine nuclear reactors to vibrations at the boundary of water layers with different temperatures and salinities. However, the Soviet Academy of Sciences put forward a more likely explanation. The sounds were biological in nature and could come from whales or unknown deep-sea mollusks. Submariners, in turn, did not agree with this, believing that the rebitters were too different from any known sea creatures. Over time, a more realistic version appeared, proposed by skeptics. According to this theory, the submariners mistook the sounds of active buoys dropped from NATO anti-submarine aircraft for the ribitting. These devices, equipped with water-filled power sources, could produce noises similar to croaking. This version explains why rebitters were most often recorded in areas of active NATO patrols and why this anomaly disappeared after the collapse of the USSR. Sailors of the Royal Navy of Great Britain, in turn, recorded similar noises, which they called bioducks, from the English onomatopoeia of quacking. These sounds were recorded in the waters around Australia, where in the 1960s, the most important nuclear testing grounds for the British fleet were located. Since patrols in these waters by the USSR or the USA were unlikely, the British also initially associated these sounds with marine life. It took scientists more than 50 years to establish the source of the bioducks. It turned out that the strange sounds are made by southern minke whales, whales that, before a deep dive, unexpectedly make this sound.
America is waiting for little men from Saturn. America is once again gripped by excitement, this time because of unidentified flying drones. The situation is reminiscent of previous waves of mass interest, from flying saucers to Chinese weather balloons. It seems that this trend is repeated again and again, growing with new details and conspiracy theories. Amid the many videos circulating on the internet, some drones look more like a product of computer graphics. Special effects imposed in After Effects are easy to recognize for a person who is at least a little familiar with editing. However, this does not prevent the videos from causing heated discussions because viewers tend to believe what they see. The Biden administration claims that these are civilian commercial drones, and Donald Trump calls on the government to shoot down any unidentified objects and reveal the whole truth. A peculiarity of the American mentality is a love of conspiracy theories. Drones, like flying saucers in the past, immediately become the subject of speculation. They are already causing talk of alien intelligence, agents of Saturn, or even preparations for the inauguration of a hypothetical alien leader. Some recall black helicopters that allegedly abducted people on orders from reptilians. And here comes the alarm again, this time because of drones. It is curious that the excitement around unknown objects occurs with enviable regularity. Remember the Chinese balloons that flew over the USA for a long time until they were suddenly noticed. Then panic gripped society, which, however, quickly subsided. Perhaps the new wave of drone fever will soon fade away, or maybe we really are on the threshold of a new chapter in the history of strange phenomena. But for now, it seems the world is simply entertaining itself with new mystical theories to distract itself from more pressing problems.
UFO on the cover of an 18th century book. The discovery of an image of a UFO on the cover of a book by Johann Funk, published in 1716, has caused widespread controversy among ufologists. This image, depicting a classic flying saucer surrounded by bright lightning, is seen by many as confirmation that alien visitors visited Earth as early as 300 years ago. Despite controversy over whether alien visits actually occurred in the 1700s, the find confirms that people of the time were also interested in the idea of extraterrestrial civilizations. As always, people are divided into types. Some believe in UFOs, others are skeptical about such assumptions. Ufologists wonder about the technological development of aliens. Assuming that they actually visited Earth in the 18th century, how did their technology remain unchanged for 3 centuries? This refers to the shape of an alien ship. Found the place where the Book of Deer was written. Archaeologists in Scotland have discovered a long-lost monastery that is about 1,000 years old. The site appears to be associated with the creation of the Book of Deer, one of the oldest surviving copies of Gaelic writing. The Book of Deer is a unique 10th century collection of gospel texts containing records in Latin, Old Irish, and Gaelic, now housed in the Cambridge University Library. It contains the Gospel of John, fragments of other Gospels, as well as historically significant records written in Gaelic. The site where the monastery once stood is located in Aberdeenshire, near the village of Mintlow. Archaeologists suggest that it was here that the unique records of the Book of Deer were created, and excavations in 2022 confirm this assumption. The excavation site uncovered post holes dating from the same period as the Gaelic entries in the book. In addition, finds include medieval pottery, glass shards, personal items, and game boards indicating the existence of a monastery complex here. Nuragic bronze figurines. These figurines with horned helmets shed light on mysterious people whose origins are still controversial. In the 12th century BC, the Mediterranean faced a catastrophe: the invasion of the so-called Sea Peoples, who united to attack the major civilizations of the Bronze Age. These warlike peoples, described by the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses III, attacked such great powers as Ugarit, the Hittites, Cyprus, the Canaanites, and even the mighty Egypt. It is with their invasions that the Bronze Collapse is associated, the disappearance or weakening of many great states. One of the most mysterious tribes among the Sea Peoples are considered to be the Shurdans, or Shardana. In Egyptian images, they are depicted in horned helmets and armor. However, the most interesting thing is the connection of this people with the island of Sardinia. In the Phoenician inscriptions on the Nora stone, Sardinia is referred to as Srdn, the same name used by the Egyptians to refer to the Shurdans. This theory is supported by the Nuragic bronze statues found on the island. They depict warriors with the same horned helmets as in the reliefs of Ramses III and armed with shields and swords. This raises the question, were the Shurdans originally from Sardinia, or did they settle on the island after their campaigns in the eastern Mediterranean? While historians continue to study the artifacts, this mystery remains unsolved and gives rise to many hypotheses about the role of the Shurdans in the disappearance of Bronze Age civilizations.
Extraordinary burial unearthed. A unique artifact has been unearthed in a 6th century AD female burial in eastern Lincolnshire, England. A Roman cup dating to the 3rd century AD. The find, made during excavations at the Scranby Cemetery, explores the interaction between Anglo-Saxon and Roman cultures and sheds light on the burial customs of the time. The copper alloy cup was found in the grave of a young woman designated Ski 18. The deceased was also found to have 2 brooches and bracelets. The placement of the artifact next to the woman's head suggests its symbolic significance. The cup, known as the Scranby cup, is in excellent condition. It measures 5.7 centimeters high and holds around 280 milliliters. Its decoration is Roman in style, with crescent and heart patterns covered in red, aquamarine, and bluish-violet enamel, demonstrating the skill of Roman craftsmen. It is believed that the bowl was made in France and brought to England in the 3rd century AD. Analysis of the inside of the bowl revealed traces of unheated pork fat. This may indicate that it was used for ritual or medicinal purposes. Pig fat was used to treat infections at the time, which is consistent with Byzantine texts of the period. The uniqueness of the find is also that the bowl was preserved intact, unlike most Roman artifacts which are usually found in fragments. What did the ancestors of the Chinese look like? Archaeologists in China have for the first time reconstructed the faces of people who lived 5,000, 7,000 years ago during the Neolithic era in the Yellow River area. These ancient people belonged to the Yangshao and Longshan cultures, and their settlements were located on terraces along the river. For centuries, the Chinese have wondered what their ancestors looked like, and now they have an answer. During the fourth archaeological expedition to the Yangshao settlement, scientists analyzed the remains and reconstructed the appearance of two people. One lived about 5,600 years ago and was a man in his 40s. The other was a 50-year-old man from the Longshan era about 4,000 years ago. The facial reconstructions were made using 3D scanning, printing, and ancient DNA analysis. These technologies made it possible to recreate facial features with an accuracy of up to 90%. Yangshao is considered an important culture that had a significant impact on the development of Chinese civilization. During excavations, various artifacts were found, including ceramics, tools, and even alcohol residue. An important discovery was the large residential buildings that allow for a deeper study of ancient architecture.
Stationary underwater objects. There are many stationary anomalous objects hidden in the oceans that still remain a mystery to scientists. Even if we put aside myths such as the legends of Atlantis, the list of interesting finds is still impressive. One of the most famous is the Inagui Monument, located near the Ryukyu Islands, not far from the Japanese Yonaguni. These are stone structures located at a shallow depth that have regular geometric shapes. Despite the fact that most scientists consider them to be a natural geological formation, many researchers and pseudo-archaeologists are trying to prove that these stones are the result of human activity. Another mystery is the megalith found at the bottom of the Gulf of Pantelleria Vecchia in the Tunisian Strait. This is a huge stone, 12 meters long and weighing 15 tons, in which there are 3 round holes. Based on its structure, it is assumed that it was processed by man in the Mesolithic, about 15,000 years ago. However, rock analysis showed that its age could be much higher, more than 40,000 years, which casts doubt on its origin. The Cuban underwater city is another mysterious discovery made in 2001 off the west coast of Cuba. With the help of sonar, geometric structures resembling pyramids and rings consisting of granite blocks were discovered. These findings raised a lot of questions among researchers, as they could be both natural formations and the result of human activity. These and other objects remain the subject of active research and discussion because their origin can reveal a lot of unknown things about ancient civilizations and the nature of the ocean depths. Silver amulet. In Germany, near Frankfurt, archaeologists have discovered a unique artifact, a silver amulet known as the Frankfurt silver inscription. This is the oldest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps, dating back to around 230–270 AD. The find significantly expands our understanding of the spread of Christianity in the Roman Empire. The amulet was found during excavations of a Roman cemetery in the Heilmannstrasse area of the ancient city of Nida. Among 127 burials, the burial ground of a man aged 35–45 years was of particular interest. Along with the usual burial gifts such as pottery and an incense burner, a rolled-up silver foil was found under his chin. Analysis showed that this was a phylactery, an amulet designed to protect the wearer. The contents of the inscription applied to the silver were deciphered using computed tomography. The Latin text consists of 18 lines and contains exclusively Christian formulas. Holy, 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 and in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Quotes from the Epistle of Apostle Paul to the Philippians are also included. This find proves that Christianity spread in the region several decades earlier than previously thought. Nida, as a major Roman cultural and administrative center, became the place where the new religion was able to gain a foothold in a multicultural environment.
Has the first battle with aliens already happened? On August 26, 1946, an American scientific expedition set out for the South Pole. It was led by naval officer and explorer Admiral Richard Byrd, who took part in the First World War. The expedition involved 13 ships, 33 aircraft, and almost 5,000 U.S. Navy soldiers. The group under the command of the Admiral returned only 9 months later, reporting that it had to engage in battle with the remnants of the Third Reich and possibly aliens. Flying objects attacked the expedition members and caused significant damage to the American group. Byrd in his report claimed to have seen unidentified devices capable of moving at incredible speeds, changing their location almost instantly. At that time, the Admiral's statements, despite his high status, seemed like fiction. However, in 2018, a satellite image revealed a contrail left by something moving at incredible speeds. The trail stretched across the entire Earth, connecting the South and North Poles, which is about 20,000 kilometers. The maximum duration of preservation of the trace and its shape is 30 minutes, while most of it begins to dissipate after 15 minutes. Based on the data obtained, we can say that the object that left the contrail was moving at a speed of at least 80,000 kilometers per hour, which is 10 times higher than the speed of the fastest aircraft existing at the moment.
Alien ship fragments in the ocean. A renowned Harvard University astrophysicist, Avi Loeb, who gained popularity for his UFO research and possible contacts with aliens, reported the possible discovery of alien ship fragments on the ocean floor. Loeb became famous for his theory about the unusual nature of the asteroid Oumuamua, which accelerated and deviated from the expected trajectory for no apparent reason in 2017, which led the scientists to suggest its artificial origin. Recently, Loeb drew attention to a meteorite that fell into the Pacific Ocean in 2014. The object, known as IM-1, was distinguished by an unusual speed of movement. The scientist went to the site of its fall and, together with his team, extracted fragments from a depth of 1,700 meters. As a result, they discovered about 50 small balls consisting of iron, magnesium, and titanium, about 0.3 millimeters in size. Loeb and his colleagues suggest that these spherules may be evidence of an alien spacecraft crash landing on Earth. However, many scientists are skeptical of his hypothesis, arguing that such fragments with such a composition may be the result of natural processes that occur when meteorites fall into the atmosphere and onto the ocean floor. The Moon was created by extraterrestrial civilizations. The Moon, our satellite, is full of mysteries that still excite the minds of scientists. Its size is 27.4% the size of the Earth, but its mass is only 1.2%. These proportions, together with the data that the Moon rings like a bell when struck by meteorites, suggest that it may be hollow. The depth of the craters is also surprising. Regardless of the size of the meteorites, it remains almost the same. 4.5 kilometers, which may indicate the presence of a strong protective layer under the surface. The composition of the Moon adds intrigue. On its surface, processed metals such as brass and radioactive elements, including uranium-236 and neptunium-237, which are not found in nature, have been found. The Moon is also disproportionately large for its satellite. It is 6 times larger than any other relative to the size of its planet. Its unique stability without hesitation also sets it apart from the celestial bodies. Mathematical coincidences further enhance the sense of artificiality. The distance to the Sun is 108 times its diameter, just as the distance to the Moon is 108 times its size, and its ideal geometry allows it to completely cover the Sun during eclipses. Also, the Moon always faces the Earth with one side, which is not typical for satellites, and stabilizes the Earth's axis, affecting the climate and biorhythms. These features suggest that the Moon is not just a natural object, but perhaps the result of artificial intervention, leaving us with more questions than answers. 188-year-old hermit. A mysterious 188-year-old hermit was recently found in a cave near Bengaluru. However, it turned out that the man known as Siaram Baba is actually no more than 109 years old, which is still quite old. A video of 2 people helping the emaciated old man move went viral online, causing many comments and debates about his real age. Siaram Baba was born in Mumbai and attended school until the 7th or 8th grade. He is a devout follower of the Hindu god Hanuman and has dedicated his entire life to spiritual practices. After meeting the saint, the old man left home and went to the Himalayas, where he devoted himself to penance and religious meditation. Siaram Baba renounced the benefits of civilization and lived in caves, covered only with a bandage, spending all his days reading sacred texts. A call from aliens. Humanity has been sending signals into space for decades, hoping to establish contact with alien civilizations. But what if Earth ever receives a response? If scientists manage to detect signs of extraterrestrial life, then most likely the first to know about it will be specialists from the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, program. This project began its work back in 1959 when scientists began to study signals from space. Today, powerful computers are used to analyze a huge number of radio signals, tracking any unusual patterns. According to Seth Shostak, SETI's chief astronomer, even if a signal from aliens is detected, it will not lead to panic. All the results will be confirmed by other telescopes, and the whole world will definitely know about it. In the end, the news of such a discovery will instantly spread through the media and social networks. Although previous attempts to contact aliens have resulted in false alarms, scientists believe it is important to prepare for real contact. But the question of how to respond to aliens remains open. It will require international cooperation, and the main language of communication, according to scientists, will be mathematics. Professor Paul Davis from Arizona State University leads a team working on a response. It is believed that aliens may simply send a signal to say, "Hello, Earthlings, we are here." But how to express the essence of human life or our values using mathematics remains a challenge. Important discovery in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, archaeologists have made a unique discovery by discovering the Kulai social complex and new artifacts dating back to the Western Gokturk period. Among these finds, a belt buckle with the image of a Gokturkic Kagan found for the first time in history stands out. The construction of Yelek Asadsi is the first and only memorial cult complex of the Turkic Khaganate found outside of Mongolia. In 2021, personal items of Tigan, an ancient Turkic prince who ruled the Anoke province, were discovered in the mound area. The most important artifact was a golden belt buckle with an image of the Gokturkic Kagan on the throne, which is a unique evidence of the Turkic culture of that period. This find demonstrates the connection between the Turkic peoples and their art, as well as funerary traditions. Thousands of people will disappear. A mysterious man with the nickname Darkness Time Travel, who claims to be a time traveler from 2858, continues to excite the minds of social media users. His account on one of the popular platforms has gained more than 150,000 subscribers, and one of the videos telling about predictions has already collected over 1 million views. Such statements not only arouse interest but also many questions, especially among those who are passionate about history and archaeology. "I am a real-time traveler, listen carefully," he claims in his video. Among his predictions is a plane crash in the United States on December 13th in the western part of Wisconsin, where half of the passengers will allegedly survive. In 2025, according to him, a record number of UFOs will be seen over the United States, and on October 19th, a glowing cloud will cover the top of the Eiffel Tower, causing a wave of discussions around the world. But the most mysterious event will be the activation of the Bermuda Triangle. From September 28th, ships and planes will begin to disappear en masse, taking thousands of people with them. Another unusual prediction concerns March 21st, 2026. The user claims that an underwater structure will be discovered off the coast of Brazil that will surprise even archaeologists. Strange fish, previously unknown to science, will gather around it, and the structure itself may become the key to understanding the mysteries of the ancient world and perhaps even a connection with alien civilizations. These statements cause heated debate, especially among anomaly researchers and archaeology enthusiasts. If the discovered structure really turns out to be an ancient artifact capable of changing our understanding of history, this could become one of the most sensational finds of the century. The most amazing and large-scale forecast for the future sounds like a utopian dream. They say that at the end of 2026, an era of harmony and happiness will begin on Earth, as if humanity will find itself in a paradise. This period will last for several years, during which all wars will cease and people will forget about old grievances and quarrels. Envy and malice will disappear, giving way to kindness and mutual understanding. But it is precisely this calm that will become a catalyst for grandiose changes. The world that calms its storm will soon face the consequences of such a sharp transition. What seemed ideal will mark the beginning of a new stage in the history of mankind. Global changes will inevitably lead to chaos, which will determine the further path of civilization. Perhaps this paradox will become the biggest mystery of the future. How can an era of peace give rise to a new wave of upheavals? Ancient chemical weapons. Archaeologist Simon James from the University of Leicester has presented the results of his research, which could change our understanding of the use of chemical weapons in ancient times. He claims to have found evidence of the use of poisonous substances in 256 AD, during the siege of the Roman city of Dura Europos on the banks of the Euphrates River. James's research focused on excavations carried out in this ancient city, which was besieged by the Persian army. In one of the tunnels dug by the Romans to prevent the enemy from advancing, the remains of 20 soldiers were found. These men died while standing in their passages, and James proposed the theory that the use of chemical weapons could have caused their deaths. Traces of bitumen and sulfur crystals were found in the tunnel, substances that emit toxic fumes when burned. According to the scientists, the Persians could have installed a brazier in their tunnel, placing these materials on it. When the Romans breached the wall, deadly fumes began to leak out, killing all the city's defenders within minutes. Despite the use of chemical weapons, the Persian army was unable to breach the city's walls through the mines. However, Dura Europos was captured, and the methods by which the Persians managed to do so remain unclear. Image of a car on an ancient temple. The Sagara Madu Temple, also known as Pura Dalim Jagaraga, is located in the north of Bali, 11 kilometers east of the city of Singaraja. The temple is located in the village of Jagaraga, known for the tragic event of 1849, when during the Dutch colonization there was a mass ritual suicide of local residents. The temple was originally built in the 12th century during the reign of King Raj Sri Aji Jagaraga, but was later destroyed during the Dutch invasion. Restoration of the temple began in 1865, and its current appearance has largely been preserved since then. The temple complex includes two temples, Pura Dalim, dedicated to Shiva, and Pura Pradzapat, dedicated to Durga, reflecting their mythological roles as consorts in Hinduism. The walls of the temple are decorated with carvings depicting leaves, flowers, nagas, snake-like creatures, and human figures. Pura Dalim Sagara Madu is associated with rituals of death and destruction, as it is dedicated to Shiva. In the central courtyard, there is a carved gate called Paduraksa, decorated with the head of the mythical creature Bahoma, as well as pavilions for preparing offerings and performing rituals. This temple is unique in that its walls are decorated with scenes from the Western world, such as an airplane falling into the sea, a ship being attacked by a sea monster, and an antique car. Such images appeared because Singaraja was the main seaport of Bali in the 19th and 20th centuries, through which contact with European civilization took place.
Incredible discovery under the Nile. Archaeologists have made an amazing discovery under the Nile in the Aswan area, a collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts and rock carvings dating back to the era when the city experienced a massive flood. The relics date back to the reigns of pharaohs such as Amenhotep III, Thutmose IV, and Psammetichus II. Aswan, about 4,500 years ago, was an important trading and military center. Gold, wood, and spices were exchanged here, and local granite quarries supplied materials for the construction of temples, obelisks, and pyramids. However, after the construction of the Aswan Dam, most of the city was underwater. A Franco-Egyptian archaeological mission discovered unique rock reliefs depicting pharaohs, hieroglyphic inscriptions, and other sculptural elements. The work was carried out using modern technologies such as underwater scanning, photogrammetry, and 3D modeling. These methods allowed us to document the artifacts we found in detail and create digital copies of them. Of particular interest are the images of Amenhotep III, who ruled Egypt for about 40 years and left a rich legacy. His burial place was in the Theban necropolis on the west bank of the Nile, opposite modern Luxor. Unfortunately, many monuments associated with his era were damaged by floods, but the new find gives hope for the restoration of these historical relics.
Stone tools in Dagestan. Archaeological finds have been made in Dagestan that significantly expand our understanding of the ancient history of mankind. The main objects of the study were the ancient sites of Mukkai I and Mukkai II, located along ancient riverbeds. Stone tools dating back millions of years were found here. The finds at the Mukkai I site attracted particular attention. Among them were flat picks, double-sided choppers, and other tools similar to those found at the Ainikab I site. These finds date back to the period 1.95–1.78 million years ago, which makes them some of the most ancient in Russia. The tools found at Mukhai indicate a high level of technology among ancient people. They used stone chips to create chopping and cutting tools. However, unlike similar finds in East Africa, no hand axes were found here, which may indicate unique technologies typical of this part of the world. Of interest are also giant tools weighing 5–6 kilograms, which according to scientists were used to split bones and skulls to extract bone marrow. Such tools are found at sites where ancient people cut up trophies.
Mysterious floating island. The floating island of El Ojo in Argentina has inspired many speculations and theories, from a UFO haven to a place where ancient spirits live. However, scientists give a more rational explanation for its existence, considering it to be the result of natural processes of erosion and the movement of water masses. This mysterious round island is located in the swampy delta of the Parana River. Its name means eye in translation, due to its striking resemblance to a perfectly round eye when viewed from above. The island attracted attention in 2016 when Argentine director Sergio Noispierre explored the area for a documentary. From a bird's-eye view, El Ojo impresses with its shape and purity. The water around it, despite its apparent blackness, is crystal clear, which is unusual for the turbid waters of the delta. The diameter of the island is 118 meters, and its rotation around its axis is a consequence of the action of currents, which also polish the shore of the lake, forming perfect outlines. This process is ongoing, and scientists believe that it explains the round appearance of the island and the lake. El Ojo first appeared on satellite images about 20 years ago. Its origins are still shrouded in mystery. How and when it separated from the mainland is still unknown. Locals, although they knew about its existence, preferred to avoid the place, believing that an ancient deity lived there. Some put forward theories about UFOs or even a Nazi base, but there is no evidence to support these versions.
Lost fortress in the Sahara. In the 17th century, among the endless sands of the Sahara, a mysterious ancient fortress was discovered. Scientists who examined the find were stunned by its complex architecture and the unusual technologies that were thought to have been used in its construction. According to the records of that time, the fortress had unique features: massive walls carved from an unknown but incredibly durable material, and complex water systems, the level of which was nothing like it in the known history of mankind at that time. This gave rise to speculation that it could have been built by representatives of an unknown, highly developed civilization, or even with the help of alien technology. But before scientists could study and document this amazing find in detail, the fortress was again buried under thick sand due to a sudden storm. Since then, its exact location has remained a mystery. Despite many expeditions trying to find the fortress, it was never discovered again. This case has attracted the attention of many researchers and mystery lovers. One can only guess what secrets this lost fortress holds. Could it really have been created using technology superior to our own, or is it proof of the existence of a forgotten ancient civilization?
Cubic UFO scared the plane pilot. In February 2020, an aircraft on duty in Colombia collided with an unusual air object. Being at an altitude of more than 9 kilometers, the captain took a mobile phone in order to film a metal object moving in a straight line. Something that looks like a cube has nothing in common with a balloon or other objects capable of being at such a height. The distance from the aircraft to the object has not been established, so its estimated diameter is between 3 and 5 meters. Scientists suggest that extraterrestrial civilizations are afraid of a direct collision with humanity and are not ready for direct contact. The object caught on camera may be analogous to a scout who found himself on Earth in order to observe us from the side. Perhaps the aliens are studying us and are slowly preparing to visit our planet. Is it so? Time will tell, but the experts who evaluated the video did not reach a consensus. The object does not have wings and does not leave a trail, which means it is not a man-made device. Skeptics suggest that the metal cube is just a balloon that was inflated at an altitude of more than 9 kilometers, but physicists are convinced that the low temperature would not allow it to rise so high.
Treasures of Atlantis under the Sphinx. Egyptologist Roman Orikoff, a member of the International Association of Egyptologists, spoke about the low probability of discovering secret halls and treasures of Atlantis under the Egyptian pyramids. He recalled that the pyramids have been studied for centuries, and if there was something there, scientists would have found it long ago. The theme of secret chambers under the pyramids and the Sphinx at Giza arose thanks to the American mystic Edgar Cayce in the early 20th century. And although excavations have been attempted in the past, nothing similar has been discovered. Now, the Egyptian authorities prohibit such research, which confirms the absence of hidden rooms. The Egyptologist also focuses on the difference in the concept of treasure between modernity and the past. For the ancient Egyptians, who lived in conditions where the main clothing was a loincloth, modern ideas about treasures do not correspond to reality. Separately mentioned is the theory of Egyptologist Farouk Elbaz about the natural origin of the Great Sphinx. Construction expert Fyodor Vasiliev considers it logical, noting that the main material of the sculpture is limestone, which in itself is not very durable. In his opinion, erosion could only form general outlines, and further detailing was carried out by ancient craftsmen. I told you about this in the previous video. Alien visitors in Egypt. Recent archaeological excavations in Egypt have led to a sensational discovery that has attracted the attention of the entire world. Archaeologists have found artifacts in the Giza Plateau area that, according to some scientists, may be evidence that aliens visited Earth 5,000 years ago. It all started with excavations in a recently opened tomb dating back to the Old Kingdom of Egypt. Among the items found, metal plates with mysterious symbols and images of flying objects that resembled modern UFOs stood out. An analysis of the artifacts showed that they were covered in writing in an unknown language. Some scientists suggest that this could be a message from aliens, which the ancient Egyptians could have perceived as contact with another civilization. Linguists are already working to decipher these symbols, but the results remain unclear. Attention was also drawn to the images of unidentified flying objects on the plates, which, according to ufologists, could be a diagram of an alien ship. It seems to me that so far the researchers have made a lot of hasty conclusions, and most likely the interpretation of these plates will be more down to earth. Therefore, it is better to wait until the study of these artifacts is completed and find out what symbols are depicted and why they were there. Ancient bone floor. In the Dutch city of Alkmaar, archaeologists have made a unique find, part of a floor made of animal bones. This rare discovery was made on Amsterdam Street during reconstruction work on a building. A floor made of bones is a real rarity, especially for the province of North Holland, although similar examples have been found in other historic cities in the region, such as Hoorn, Enkhuizen, and Edam. Archaeologists have discovered that the floor is partly made of the midsection and feet of cattle. The bones were carefully processed to achieve the same height and arranged in a pattern. Some were positioned with their points upwards, others with flat cuts. They filled the gaps between antique tiles, creating a unique decorative pattern. The purpose of the bones in the floor structure remains a mystery. Perhaps they were used due to their availability and cheapness, or in connection with certain functions of the building. It is possible that specific activities related to meat trade or animal processing were carried out in this place, but the exact reasons have yet to be established. The mystery of the Ellora Caves. In India, in the state of Maharashtra, there is an amazing complex of caves, the Ellora Caves. This architectural masterpiece, comprising 34 caves, is carved directly into the rock and is a unique combination of Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain temples. The age of the structures dates back to the period between the 6th and 10th centuries AD. The Ellora Caves are amazing in their precision and complexity. Some of them are enormous in size and have exquisite details, carved with amazing precision. Particularly impressive is the Kailasa Temple, carved from a single mass of stone, which is considered the largest monolithic structure in the world. The technology and methods used to create such complex and precise structures still remain a mystery. This gave rise to many theories, including speculation about extraterrestrial intervention. Some researchers believe that the ancient builders may have had knowledge and technology passed on by alien civilizations. This unique complex remains one of the most intriguing archaeological finds, offering more questions than answers. UFO landing pad. Gary Dixon, 62, from Flint, Wales, was driving to Llangollen when he was caught by a 15-meter white circular disc slowly rotating on the surface of the River Dee in Denbighshire. He was so intrigued by this unusual object that he decided to walk a few kilometers to study it closer. The disc was perfectly round and rotated counterclockwise, creating the impression of a mysterious natural phenomenon. Gary, who was planning to spend a winter day in Llangollen, was so fascinated by what he saw that he stayed to watch it for about half an hour. According to his observations, the disc made one rotation per hour. Ice discs, as it turns out, are not uncommon. This natural phenomenon is observed all over the world, from Russia and China to Scandinavia and North America. The first recorded sighting of an ice disk was in 1895 in the USA on the Mianus River in Connecticut. In recent years, such natural formations have attracted attention due to their impressive size. For example, in January 2019, a 100-meter wide ice disk was discovered on the Presumpscot River in Maine. But an even more impressive case occurred in Canada, where a giant rotating disk with a diameter of 200 meters was spotted on the Tahlsen River, which was captured by satellite lenses. These unique ice formations have received different names: ice circles, frying pans, and carousels. Message from Galileo Galilei. The middle finger of the right hand of the great Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei, now kept in the Museo Galileo in Florence, has long been a symbol of scientific progress and the indomitable spirit of reason. This strange exhibit, enclosed in an elegant gilded glass egg, was removed from Galileo's body almost a century after his death. Why did this finger become such an important symbol? Galileo, famous for his discoveries in the field of astronomy, became the main opponent of church dogmas about the geocentric model of the world. His works on the heliocentric system were perceived as a challenge not only to religious beliefs, but also to the very idea of an unchanging structure of the world. The middle finger, as some believe, symbolizes the scientist's strict refusal to submit to dogma, defending the truth based on observations and scientific experiments. Today, in the age of space exploration, Galileo's finger can be seen as an ironic message to those who continue to ignore the advances of science, whether they be flat earthers or conspiracy theorists. Galileo, who first saw the moons of Jupiter and the stars of the Milky Way with a telescope, expanded humanity's understanding of the universe. His legacy continues to inspire those who seek the truth about our place in the cosmos, even if that truth may include the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The clearest photograph of a UFO. On September 4, 1971, in the northern highlands of Costa Rica, photographer Sergio Loaiza was conducting aerial photography of Lake Cote for the National Geographic Institute. Using a special mapping camera that takes photos at 13-second intervals, he did his job, unaware that one of the frames would be unique. Upon returning to the laboratory, Sergio checked the photographs and noticed in one of them a mysterious round metal object located on the right side of the photograph. It is noteworthy that an object resembling a flying saucer was not detected in either the previous or subsequent frames. For some time, the National Geographic Institute tried to hide the discovery, prohibiting Sergio and his colleagues from talking about the incident. A metallic flying object with a diameter of more than 18 meters was a closely guarded secret. But in 1979, a photograph appeared in an Argentine newspaper and was analyzed by experts. Soon, Costa Rica declared the photo as official confirmation of the existence of a UFO. Despite many years of study and debate among researchers in this area, no one has been able to say what kind of object this is. Skeptics suggested that the object on the right side of the photo was some kind of debris or stain that got onto the film while working with photographs. In 2021, a family friend was able to obtain the original photo in order to scan it using modern technology. This made it possible to digitize the image, making it clearer and more detailed. This allowed skeptics to see the saucer-shaped object at a higher resolution. The updated image allowed us to discard a number of banal assumptions and theories, since this was not a stain or chip on the camera glass. So what was it? Share your guesses in the comments. Minoan Snake Goddess. The most famous symbol of the Minoan civilization remains a mystery. One of the most recognizable symbols of all Minoan culture is the snake goddess, yet archaeologists still know little about her. Given her popularity, you might think that scientists would have a good understanding of this artifact by now. But since her discovery in 1903, there has been ongoing debate about who or what she represents. Dating to around 1600 BC, this faience figurine is rare in Minoan art, making it even more mysterious. Some archaeologists believe that she represents a goddess who is the patron of animals, while others believe that the woman depicted on the figurine has nothing to do with snakes at all. It is believed that the snakes in her hands are actually ropes and that the statue itself was significantly restored by Arthur Evans, which has led to many misconceptions and misinterpretations.
Coffin on the roof. For centuries, human bodies have been the subject of anatomy studies, often using executed criminals as the primary source. However, as the death penalty declined in the 18th and 19th centuries, medical schools began to suffer from a shortage of bodies for research. This problem gave rise to resurrectionists, people who dug up freshly buried corpses to sell to anatomists. To protect against such thefts, cemeteries were equipped with cages, traps, and hired guards. Some bodies were even left in dead man's houses so that decomposition would make them useless to robbers. But Englishman Henry Trigg found his own extremely unusual way. Henry lived in Stevenage in the 18th century, was a wealthy grocer, and was respected in the community. However, one day he witnessed thieves digging up a body in the cemetery. This shocked him so much that he decided not to let this happen to him. In his will, Henry asked that his body be placed in a lead coffin and placed under the rafters of his own barn, away from the cemetery. He even included a punishment for his relatives if his last will was violated. After his death in 1724, his body was indeed placed in the barn, which attracted a lot of curious visitors. Over time, the barn became an inn and Henry's coffin became a local landmark. However, his remains suffered a sad fate. Visitors and soldiers took them for souvenirs, and by the beginning of the 20th century, only a small part of the skeleton remained. Today, Henry's coffin still rests in the barn, but the remains are lost, leaving behind only legends about his ghost.
Kryptonite on Earth. Jadeite, a mineral discovered in 2006 in Serbia, attracted attention due to its striking similarity to kryptonite, the fictional substance that weakens Superman. The chemical composition of jadeite is almost identical to the kryptonite described in the film Superman Returns, including sodium, lithium, borosilicate, and hydroxide. However, unlike its fictional counterpart, jadeite does not contain fluorine, which gave kryptonite its famous green glow. This is why jadeite is white. The discovery of this mineral has attracted great interest from both scientists and science fiction fans, becoming an example of how fiction sometimes intersects with reality. Jadeite was found exclusively in the Jadar River Valley in Serbia and is of interest due to its high lithium content, which is used in the production of batteries. Two-headed alien. A strange mummy with two heads was discovered in Tibet, which was immediately dubbed the two-headed alien. This artifact shocked scientists and fans of mysticism. The mummy looks as if its origins go beyond the earthly, which gives rise to many theories, from mutations to extraterrestrial civilizations. Some researchers believe that this could be a ritual artifact or a cult image created by ancient people to worship unknown forces. Interestingly, the structure of the mummy looks unusual even for mutations known to biology. The proportions of its body and the shape of its head suggest that it could be the embodiment of something mythical or unearthly. Ancient Tibetan legends often mention heavenly beings who visited Earth. Perhaps this artifact is an attempt to depict those whom the ancients considered gods. However, there is also a more mundane version. The mummy may be the result of artificial mummification of two different bodies connected for ritual purposes. The mystery of drops discs. In 1938, in a remote area of China in the Bayan Karaula Mountains, archaeologists discovered amazing artifacts, drop discs. These discs, made of granite, have a diameter of about 30 centimeters and a thickness of approximately 1 centimeter. They attracted the attention of scientists with their unusual appearance. Each disc contains a central hole and cut spiral grooves reminiscent of tracks for playing sound. That is, they look like vinyl records and perhaps contain the sounds of ancient people, nature, or even something alien. Most intriguingly, the grooves on the discs contain microscopic characters that resemble hieroglyphs. Researchers say these symbols may be a form of ancient writing encoded in spiral patterns. Translations by some scholars suggest that the discs may tell of an ancient civilization known as the Drapa, which may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings. According to legend, the Dropa tribe arrived on Earth about 12,000 years ago from a distant star. But unfortunately, there are practically no artifacts left from them except these records. The Drupa discs remain one of the most mysterious archaeological finds, raising many questions about possible contacts between ancient people and aliens. The sculpted rocks of Rothenef. In 1879, in the small town of Châteauneuf-de-Gallour in southeastern France, a postman began building a unique palace that would last 33 years. This fantastic palace, known as the Palais Cheval, was a true work of art created without great expense or specialized training. About 15 years later, on the other side of France, in Brittany, the priest Adolphe Julien Fouéré, later nicknamed the Cheval of Breton, began creating stunning sculptures. He was ordained a priest in 1863, but after losing his hearing in 1894, he retired. He settled in the small village of Rothenef, where he began working in the art brut genre, art created outside of official culture. Fouéré created hundreds of wooden sculptures from 1894 to 1907, including totem poles, figures of saints and political figures, animals, and mythological creatures. However, his most notable work was the more than 300 sculptures carved into the granite cliffs of the Emerald Coast. These brightly colored figures and bas-reliefs depict fantastical characters, historical events, and mythology, from saints and explorers to majestic figures like Cleopatra and Napoleon. His works attracted thousands of tourists, and the city of Saint-Malo even built a tram line to cope with the influx of spectators. Unfortunately, in 1907, Fouéré suffered from paralysis, which limited his creativity. He died in 1910, but his works continued to attract attention. Today, these sculptures are in danger of deteriorating due to the effects of time and nature. They were part of the crucifixion story. An ancient Georgian painting depicting the crucifixion of Jesus Christ has drawn attention to a mysterious object that resembles a UFO. In the background behind the cross is an object that looks like a giant button with legs. One of the characters in the painting even points at it with his hand, which seems to be a deliberate emphasis by the artist. The origin of the painting and the name of its author remain unknown, although it is believed that the image was created about 1,000 years ago in the 11th century. The church where the painting is located dates back even earlier, to the 5th century, although the current building was erected between 1010 and 1029. Some believe that the object could represent guardian angels, although this contradicts traditional depictions of angels of that era who were usually depicted with wings. Others suggest that the artist may have intentionally depicted something resembling flying saucers as part of a larger symbolism, perhaps an allegory or an element of religious myth that has not survived into modern interpretations. The painting continues to generate interest and controversy, offering a unique perspective on the combination of religious art and unexplained symbols that remain a mystery to this day.
What was found inside the alien mummies? Mexican journalist and ufologist Jaime Maussan made a sensational statement about the alien mummies found in Peru. According to him, rare metals and alloys were found inside these bodies, which could serve as devices for intergalactic communication. One of these metals is osmium, a rare and very expensive element used in telecommunications and space technology. However, it is also known for its toxicity and danger to humans. Maussan suggests that the found devices could be something like mobile phones that aliens use to communicate with. It could be a communication device, although no one knows yet how it works. Osmium, which was discovered, is especially surprising. This metal is not only difficult to find, but also deadly. If someone wanted to create a fake, why would they put such a rare and toxic metal inside? Currently, the bodies of the aliens are being studied in laboratories, but many scientists are skeptical about these findings. According to them, the mummies could have been assembled from parts of various animals. Fragments of alien technology. Harvard University professor Avi Loeb suggests that he found particles of extraterrestrial technology in a meteorite that fell in 2014 off the coast of Papua New Guinea. These fragments were taken to Harvard for examination, and the U.S. Space Command confirmed with a 99.99% probability that the material came from another solar system. Loeb and his team traveled to the site of the meteorite impact on the ship Silver Star. They discovered 10 spherules, metallic balls colored gold, blue, and brown, some of which resembled a miniature Earth. Analysis showed that the spherules contained 84% iron, 8% silicon, 4% magnesium, and 2% titanium.
Lobb emphasized that these materials were stronger than space rocks ever recorded by NASA and were moving at a speed of 60 kilometers per s, which is faster than 95% of all stars near the Sun. These results suggest the possible artificial nature of the spherules, which could provide unique insights into materials beyond our solar system. The researchers suggest that the spherules may be part of a larger find, which they plan to explore in future expeditions. UFOs in the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages are often thought of as an era of wars, diseases, and dark superstitions without electricity or other modern conveniences. However, this period also saw the birth of important advances, such as universities, the printing press, and the first books. Not only did these advances influence the development of science and education, but they also provided historical evidence, including unusual events in the sky that could be interpreted as UFO encounters. One such example is a news leaflet issued in April 1561 describing a mass sighting in Nuremberg. On April 14, 1561, at dawn, residents of the city witnessed a collision of various objects in the sky: spheres, cylinders, and other strange shapes. These objects fought with each other, and then one of them, a large black triangle, appeared in the air. The event lasted for several hours but did not cause any harm to the townspeople. Some believe that these were mass hallucinations, others that it could have been a UFO collision. Such events are not limited to Nuremberg. In 1566, in Switzerland, in the city of Basel, similar phenomena were observed. Strange figures in the sky, reminiscent of combat between celestial objects. In 1665, in Berlin, fishermen witnessed a battle of airships, as well as a strange object reminiscent of a modern description of a UFO. These stories indicate that UFOs could be part of human mythology and were documented long before the 20th century.
Alfred's mysterious jewelry. In 1693 in Somerset, a farmer accidentally stumbled upon an object that changed the way historians perceive early medieval England. Under a layer of earth, a plow uncovered a unique artifact, Alfred's jewelry, dating back to the 9th century. This find amazes with its craftsmanship. A piece of gold, enamel, and quartz, decorated with an intricate design and the inscription, "Alfred ordered me to do this." The artifact is associated with the legendary King Alfred the Great, known as one of the most enlightened rulers of England. It is believed that the jewelry could have been part of a staff or pointer used to read sacred texts. This tool represents the unification of power, wisdom, and Alfred's desire for enlightenment. The connection with UFOs and the mysteries of the past becomes interesting if you delve into the symbolism of the object. Some researchers suggest that the intricate design of the decoration and its glittering finish could have been inspired by observations of unusual celestial phenomena. At that time, comets and lights in the sky were perceived as messages from the gods or even extraterrestrial civilizations.
The Vatican's alien archives. Ufologist Steve Bassett claims that the Catholic Church is hiding evidence of alien life in its archives and is calling on the Pope to reveal this information. In his opinion, the Church has long known about contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations, but is deliberately hiding it. Bassett cites several proofs. First, he noticed strange images in medieval paintings that, in his opinion, indicate the influence of UFOs, hares fighting knights, or trumpeters using their bodies in unusual ways, in his opinion, hint at alien intervention. Second, in 2011, Vatican astronomer Guy Consolmagno jokingly said that the Church is ready to baptize aliens if any are found. Bassett took this as a hint at the existence of a secret Vatican program to prepare for contacts with extraterrestrial beings. The ufologist's third piece of evidence is a claim by former U.S. intelligence officer David Grash that Italy discovered a UFO in 1933 and Pope Pius XII handed it over to the U.S. Bassett is calling on the public to demand that the Vatican show these archives to the world. Giant flames in the sky of South Florida. On February 9, 2021, a South Florida man was returning home from work when he suddenly noticed a flash of light, causing him to stop. Having recorded what was happening on his phone, Stewart witnessed an unusual phenomenon. At some point, a large white plume began to unfold across the sky, becoming larger and larger. This did not shock the worker, but rather amazed him because the phenomenon resembled a giant flame engulfing the night sky of Florida. As you know, this state is popular among UFOs. Since 1998, there have been more than 7,000 alien sightings in South Florida, some of which still defy logical explanation. As for this situation, the glow is as similar as possible to the trace left after the launch of Elon Musk's rockets in 2017. After the space mission began, similar glowing contrails remained in the sky, leading to an obvious conclusion. Despite the mysterious pattern in the night sky, it was probably not aliens, but a test of a hypersonic missile that left a bizarre trail that scared the residents of South Florida. Mysterious disappearance at the lighthouse. A lighthouse is a place that invariably evokes a feeling of loneliness and anxiety. The story of the disappearance of 3 lighthouse keepers from the Flannan Islands has become a real mystical mystery, attracting the attention of lovers of unexplained events. It all began in 1900, when a helicopter crew was sent to Isle Moore, part of the Flannan Islands, to check on the work of the lighthouse and its keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Duckett, and Donald MacArthur. When they arrived, they found that no one was there, as if the men had simply disappeared. An overturned chair was found inside the lighthouse. Untouched food was on the table, and the clock did not work. The ship's log reported that there was a strong storm in the area, but there were no reports of it in the surrounding areas. Based on this, it was assumed that the keepers died, carried away by the sea during their work, but the lack of traces of blood and other evidence gave rise to many mystical theories. Some believe that Isle Moore Island has a sinister aura that affects people, causing them to lose their minds. Mysterious disappearances, lack of logical explanations, and strange details have made this story the basis for legends that speak of supernatural forces and even aliens. The lack of exact facts only fuels mystical theories, leaving more questions than answers. The first accurate images of the moon. The beginning of the 17th century was the era of the greatest discoveries in astronomy thanks to the invention of the telescope. The moon, previously considered a smooth celestial body, appeared to scientists in a completely new light. In 1609, Galileo Galilei used a telescope for the first time to study the moon, discovering many craters, mountains, and valleys on its surface. His observations became a real revolution in the perception of celestial bodies. Galileo captured his discoveries in a series of detailed drawings that for the first time depicted the real topography of the moon. These images were included in his work, The Starry Messenger, published in 1610. Thanks to these sketches, it became obvious that the surface of the moon is much more complex than ancient philosophers assumed and consists of irregularities reminiscent of mountains on Earth. Interestingly, Galileo was not the first to point a telescope at the moon. Thomas Harriot, an English astronomer, began his observations of the moon as early as 1609. However, his drawings were less detailed and not as widely known. It was Galileo who had a key influence on the development of astronomy. The discovery of the moon as an uneven and living object inspired many generations of researchers. Some ufologists believe that Galileo's drawings may have been the first images of anomalies on the surface of the moon. This interest continues today, giving rise to many theories about the possible extraterrestrial origin of some lunar features. Spaceship in Turkey. In Turkey, near the city of Sanliurfa, there is one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, Göbekli Tepe. This complex, which is more than 12,000 years old, consists of massive stone structures laid out in circles. Göbekli Tepe is considered the oldest known temple complex on Earth. Megaliths, up to 6 meters high and weighing several tons, amaze with their precision and craftsmanship. The stone slabs are decorated with carvings depicting animals and abstract symbols. This level of art and engineering raises many questions about how ancient people were able to create such complex structures without modern technology. Researchers suggest that the construction of Göbekli Tepe could be associated with extraterrestrial technology. These hypotheses are based on the complex's extraordinary precision and scale, which some believe could only have been achieved through advanced technology, possibly passed down by alien civilizations. Göbekli Tepe continues to attract the attention of scientists and enthusiasts from around the world, fueling interest in ancient mysteries and possible contacts with extraterrestrial beings. UFO expert finds portal. Expert Carl Nally from the UFO and Paranormal Research Ireland organization claims that in the central part of Ireland between Athlone and Slane, there may be a portal through which UFOs get to Earth. According to him, these sightings have become more frequent in recent months, and their purpose may be related to the study of the military force of Earthlings.
This statement appeared against the backdrop of reports of unidentified objects spotted near military bases and nuclear facilities. According to Nally, the U.S. authorities were unable to establish the origin of these objects, which only strengthens the assumptions about their extraterrestrial origin. The expert paid special attention to Ireland, where numerous cases of UFO sightings have been recorded. Nally believes that places such as the region between Athlone and Slane may be portals through which alien ships travel between space and Earth. He also noted that such phenomena occur all over the world at the same time, which indicates a global increase in activity. Write in the comments, is it worth trusting such experts, and do you believe in the existence of alien life? A terrifying find in Kuwait. A unique 7,000-year-old clay figurine reminiscent of aliens has been found in Kuwait, marking a major breakthrough in archaeology. The discovery was made at the Bara 1 archaeological site, which dates back to the 6th millennium BC. The figurine depicts a head with slanted eyes, a flat nose, and an elongated skull, which makes it similar to modern ideas about aliens. This discovery is the first of its kind in the Arabian Gulf region, although similar artifacts have previously been found in Mesopotamia. The figurine reflects the artistic traditions of the Ubaid culture, which was known for its unique ceramics and figurines. Interestingly, the figurine was made from Mesopotamian clay, not local ceramics, indicating cultural exchange. Ubaid art included the creation of figurines with symbolic meaning, and this discovery may help to understand the spiritual practices of ancient societies. The figurines may have been associated with religious rites or served as symbols of social status. And until science confirms the existence of guests from outer space, everyone decides for themselves about the nature of mysterious flying objects. Share this video with your friends and write a kind comment under the video. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.